52157, remove line 83 and insert an amendment.
Representative Richardson, you're recognized to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment will add language to allow a caregiver to, when they're making decisions for a child and encouraging the child's emotional and developmental growth, but will not interfere with the natural development of the child's sexual orientation. That's the amendment.
Representative Richardson, having explained the amendment, are there questions of the sponsor? Are there questions? Representative Williams, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Richardson, can you explain why you believe this is needed and what's the significance of it?
Representative Richardson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is important because there have been a number of issues over the years where gay and lesbian kids in foster homes have been abused physically, mentally, and sometimes even sexually. Thank you.
Further questions of the sponsor? Further questions of the sponsor? Seeing none, are there amendments to the amendment?
None on the desk, Mr. Speaker.
Are there substitute amendments?
None on the desk, Mr. Speaker.
Is there debate on the amendment? Debate on the amendment. Representative Nunez, you're recognized for debate on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I oppose this amendment. Representative Albritton has worked diligently with both sides of the aisle on this very good bill. If we want to have a debate on this issue, I believe that we should do it on its own merits, on a standalone bill, and not politicize this very good bill. And with that, members, I urge your opposition to this amendment. Thank you.
Further debate. Further debate. Representative Saunders, you're recognized in debate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I stand here in support of this very powerful, very important piece of legislation, but also to support this amendment. And the reason why I stand to support this amendment today is because I want to share with you that when I was growing up, when I was in high school, I had the chance to attend a youth group for gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender kids. And at the time, I was just coming out and just finding myself. And the power of being in a room with people who were like me, who were experiencing all the things that I've experienced, all the bullying, some of the worst stuff that happened in school, to be in that space and have people be able to just share and be able to connect was important, and it was powerful. And while I 100% believe that people who enter into the foster care system are there because they want to improve the lives of children who are some of the most at risk, I think there are scenarios once in a while when a parent who may be trying to do what's in the best interest of the child in their care may make decisions because they don't understand what it means to be gay, they don't understand what it means to be transgender. They may make decisions that don't help that child to develop and grow in the ways that they should and the ways that they need to. All this amendment would do is say that you have to let people grow. You have to let them develop in the ways that they're supposed to. And it empowers parents to make the decisions that really will be in the best interests of those children. I want to thank you, Representative Richardson, for bringing this very good amendment. I want to thank our sponsor for bringing an amendment that is important, for bringing a bill that is important and powerful and will improve the lives of children in this state. And I want to thank this body for supporting this bill today, and I hope you will support this amendment.
Further debate. Representative Fullwood, you're recognized in debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to stand up and support. It's a great bill. I support the bill. And the reason I support the amendment is because I think it's important that we support equality. And a wise man once said that democracy does not guarantee equality of conditions. It only guarantees equality of opportunity. And we really, America's changed. And America is the greatest country in the world. And the reason it's the greatest country in the world because it doesn't matter how you start. It matters how you finish. And so this is an opportunity to really allow our kids who are in unique situations to be themselves, to essentially be themselves. And that's what this amendment does. It tries to say, well, you may not agree with a path a child is going, but it allows them the opportunity to be themselves. So I support Representative Richardson in this amendment, and I think, folks, we live in America, and America is about diversity, and we need to celebrate that. Thank you.
Representative Berman, in debate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise in support of this amendment. In Palm Beach County, we have the Compass Community Center located in Lake Worth. This is a gay and lesbian community center that offers, among other programs, discussion groups, support groups, and social activities. Any child who wishes to participate in such activities at this center should be permitted to, whether they're a foster child or not. This amendment would allow such children to participate in all activities, and I believe it's a good amendment. The amendment will make this excellent bill even better, and I urge your support.
Representative Peters, you're recognized in debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in opposition of this amendment, and I want to thank Representative Albritton for writing an outstanding bill for some of our most vulnerable children. I think it's an excellent bill, and we are here in bipartisan support on this bill. It has passed through many committees. However, I think that what this bill does strictly gives our children the opportunity to be engaged in enriching extracurricular activities, and that's what's important. And I fear that this amendment is making this really good bill more of a political issue. And I'm not denying that some of the issues that have been brought up are important issues. They're factual issues. But I think that those issues deserve their own separate bill and shouldn't be attached to this particular bill that I feel is very good with great bipartisan support, and it's good for our children and our most vulnerable children. So I ask that you support me in my effort to say no to this amendment and work in the future on coming up with good, solid bills that address those particular issues, and then we can have great debate on that. Thank you.
Further debate. Representative Stark in debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think this is an excellent bill. I'm glad it's been presented, and I give Representative Albritton credit for getting this presented. At first, I was a little bit remiss as far as amending this bill at all. However, after speaking with Representative Richardson, I understand the issues behind this, and I applaud his effort to bring this amendment forth, and I'm encouraging this body to please endorse this amendment. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Ray Winkle-Vasalinda in debate. Next, we'll have Representative Pafford. If you would like to debate on this issue, please get your mic up so I can see it, and we will get your name down. Representative Ray Winkle-Vasalinda, you're recognized in debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I heard a story today that I think is analogous to this issue, and it reminds us to be humble. In Maine, there was a legislative decision to take Native American children away from their families and give them to white families. And this practice held forth until the mid-90s, 1990s. Those children were disconnected from their Native American ways and were not allowed to participate in Native American cultural activities. And those children also got abused and all that sort of thing, and I'm not sure that this is part of that. But the thing that I would like us to remember as we go forward is to be humble in how we create law, and to make sure that we're not overly righteous in how we think about things, because the legislature in Maine thought they were doing the right thing 40 or 50 years ago, and they didn't. It has now come back to haunt them. And I am in support of Representative Richardson's amendment. I think it's a good amendment. It allows people to follow their heart and their way of being. So thank you for this good amendment. And I urge everyone to think and to be humble in where you are.
Representative Pafford in debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And listen, this amendment is quite simple. Protects growth without interfering with the natural development of a child's sexual orientation. I do agree that the bill is excellent. I'm going to support the bill. Representative Albritton's done a fine job. This just broadens the scope to ensure that we protect all children. It's quite simple, and I don't think it's going to be a detriment to the bill. In fact, I think, quite frankly, it makes the bill much, much stronger. I'd urge your support on this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Danish in debate.
Thank you, Speaker. I stand in support of Richardson's amendment. I believe that we need to be very careful about how we influence young children. This will help prevent adults' own beliefs from confusing and possibly causing emotional trauma to these children. I believe this bill is a very good bill, and I think that the only thing this amendment is going to succeed in doing is strengthening that bill and making it even a better bill. Thank you.
Representative McGee, in debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I, too, support the amendment by my colleague Richardson, Representative Richardson, for one good reason, is that psychological abuse should not be kicked to the next generation or the next session. This is the opportunity where we have the power to send a powerful message, not only to the nation, but to our children, that we're going to stand with them in spite and despite of challenges other folks may bring forth to them. Secondly, the last time I checked, psychological abuse is just as worse as physical abuse. It's just as worse as economic abuse. But more than anything, it is a form of abuse. And for anyone to simply put that we are politicizing this situation of psychological abuse is far and beyond our comprehension at this time. And for those reasons, that's why I ask everyone here is to give our children an opportunity to be themselves, give the parents an opportunity to have the power to encourage their children to be themselves. But more than anything, let's stop this psychological abuse right now, and we can send a powerful message. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Further debate. Further debate. Representative Castro-Dentel, you're recognized in debate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Members, I support this bill, and I support this amendment simply because I believe this is about what's in the best interest of the child. I don't agree that we need to isolate this topic to its own bill. The issues of equality and fairness are found throughout our community and throughout legislation. This is about what's in the best interest of our children who are under the supervision of the state, and I ask for your support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Further debate, members. Further debate. Representative Young, you're recognized in debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I rise in opposition to this amendment, and my opposition is not based so much on what is in the actual words of the amendment. It's in the fact that this issue is already covered in this very good bill that has been drafted and worked and passed unanimously by Representative Albritton. This bill, I was glad to hear Representative Castro-Dentel mention the best interests of the child, because that is the standard. That is the standard that is throughout our legal system that tells us how we're going to judge the actions as it relates to children that are in a guardianship proceeding or in foster care or in an adoption proceeding. So I commend the bill sponsor, and while I do have a great respect for the amendment sponsor, I urge my members to vote no on this amendment.
Further debate. Representative Albritton in debate.
Representative Richardson, I want you to know that over the last 24 hours or so, I've appreciated the opportunity to get to know you, and I've enjoyed the time we've been able to spend together. And you certainly have my commitment on the First Amendment to be able to work together, pull the stakeholders together, and figure out how we might be able to craft something better. Now, that being said, I want you to know something. I respect you. But I have to say publicly that this is an unfriendly amendment. And I have to encourage the members in this chamber to vote this down, because this isn't about what the intent of the bill is. This is certainly it's a political issue that's trying to be dealt with in a bill that deals with, our foster care system here in the state. And to your point, Representative Young, it's absolutely true. When we empower parents to be parents, we set standards for them, and they go through the vetting process. The expectation we should have is that they're going to take care of those children. They're going to take care of the needs of those children. And they're going to make sure that they have everything that they need and have an experience inside the foster home that is as close to what they had in their original home as possible. Quite frankly, maybe even better. Maybe even better. So members, I'd encourage you to vote it down. Thank you.
Further debate. Seeing none, Representative Richardson, you're recognized to close on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I appreciate all the comments, especially those in support. Mr. Speaker, I've only been here a few weeks, and many people have come to know me as a very social person, But I must tell you, I'm also a very private person. So for me to stand and talk and to tell you some of my personal stories is not the easiest thing. I got elected to support and represent all of the people in my district, including the LGBT community. And it's important to me, and it's important to me personally, and especially this issue that I've been following since last summer, when a number of issues were brought to me concerning foster care, and not just kids within the LGBT community, but kids across the board. My own father, that I was fortunate enough to grow up in a home with two parents. My own father struggled with my sexuality while we never talked about it, because at that time it just wasn't possible to have that conversation. But I know he was surely unhappy about it. And so at the end of the day, I ran for office. I ran for office for the 15-year-old kid that doesn't have a voice, that needs someone to speak for him. And I'm that child. And I'm here today asking for your support on this amendment so that we can make sure that every gay kid in this great state knows that they are as important in a foster home as anyone else. It's important. I urge your support. We all just made a pledge to the flag for liberty and justice for all. Please help me with this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.